Well, hey folks, Real Honesty with Joe Mitlin. I'm Joe Mitlin. Rapid Fire episode 59. Russo being Russo is going to be the first topic I talk about because Vince Russo, the guy that is apparently, the savior of wrestling, had to get, an order of protection from this guy, from Jim Cornette, one of the best, people to ever be in wrestling, and that's just my opinion, of course, but did more for wrestling than Vince Russo ever could have. And they're like, fans of his, idiots, in other words. And sorry if you're watching my show and you're a fan of Russo. Well, okay, whatever. You can be that way if you want, but I'm going to call people that like Vince Russo's show idiots. Unless you like it just for laughs, because that's all Vince Russo is good for, is a laugh, because he's a fucking coward. Because he had to get an order of protection against Jim Cornette. Yet, apparently, and shout out to my friend Renee for sending me this, it was a bit of a transcript of some parts of his shows, where I guess he reviewed Raw, even though he's talked in the past about how he doesn't want to review WWE programming, that he just can't, it's killed his passion. Well, Vince, you killed the passion of a lot of wrestling fans with all your dumbass booking and everything, and David Arquette is world champion, and all your stupid bullshit swerves, and Judy Bagwell on a forklift, and whatever fucking shit you came up with, and all the stuff at Bash at the Beach 2000, which wrecked the whole damn company. Your fault, Vince. Your fault for wrecking the company to that point. Beyond what the AOL Time Warner merger was doing, Russo did nothing that could have saved it. Now, was he the only person to kill WCW? No, but he sure as fuck didn't help it. Whether he was restricted or whatever, he wasn't able to save the damn company. He couldn't save Impact either when it was TNA, because he just had, him and Disco Inferno, of course, was brought in. I mean, that was a great idea. Bringing Disco Inferno, a guy that couldn't fucking work at all, that Cody Rhodes took to task. And I will get to Cody Rhodes taking Vince Russo to task here in just a second. The whole point of this is that Vince Russo, now mind you, I just said he had to get an order of protection against Jim Cornette, which Jim has talked about, and I would recommend checking out the YouTube channel that has excerpts from his shows and some full interviews. Great stuff. Really, really great stuff. If you like old-time wrestling, current stuff, whatever. Vince Russo can't even come close to touching what Jim Cornette on his worst day could do. And do I always agree with Jim Cornette? Absolutely fucking not. But Jim Cornette is one of my favorite people in wrestling. And if you have a problem with that, okay, whatever. I don't really care. That's your business. I'm not saying you guys gotta like Jim Cornette. I do. Russo, I guess, this transcript was about him and his co-hosts reviewing Raw. Gang got nothing against his co-host. Don't care about his co-host. I don't. Ain't got nothing against him. I mean, unless bad info comes out about him, if they turn out to be racist or homophobic or Trump-supporting trash, which, if you're any of those things and you're watching my show, we will have words one of these days. You're allowed to believe what you want, but your opinion is wrong. And your view of that is wrong. If you want to know how to not be racist and homophobic, watch a show I did, about changing for the better, because that's what you got to do. You got to fucking change for the better. Anyway, so Vince Russo talking about Raw. One, he said he liked the Lashley interview segment where Lashley loves his sisters, and I love Bobby Lashley. That interview did not do him any favors at all. Not saying that he's not a real person. He obviously is. I'm sure he does love his sisters. That killed his babyface push dead. They got to turn him heel now, because he's just going to be openly mocked. Whatever. Okay, don't really care what Russo said about that, but he said that Rollins comes across like a pansy on TV and that he could probably take him in a fight. This guy who, suffered a concussion and couldn't work because he made himself world champion and he tried to take bumps like a real athlete when he doesn't even look like he's been in any kind of athletic endeavor in his life. And if he has, I can imagine he was probably the last person ever picked for kickball and something in high school and, elementary school and whatever, and on baseball and everything. I can't imagine he would have been picked last. He probably would have been the alternate after the last, because that's just how bad Vince Russo is. But he says he could take Rollins in a fight. He probably could take him in a fight. I'm going to show this face again, because that's basically the same damn face I made. Vince Russo wouldn't know what a fight was, because he's a coward, because he has to get an order of protection against people. And you know what? If you're a fan of Vince Russo, send this to him. I'm not saying that I would ever do anything other than, as a fan, talk to him face to face and say, hey, bro, you killed the business, bro. As much as he tried to help it, because Vince McMahon was able to take his ideas and reshape them and make them plausible and make them work, that's why Vince Russo has such a legacy. but he helped torpedo WCW, helped torpedo Impact on numerous occasions, has not been able to successfully run any other wrestling company. I guess he's working with some kind of lucha company. I don't know why. I don't know who's running that wrestling company, but if they've hired him for creative, given how he booked a lot of the lightweight guys, pretty damn ridiculous. Vince Russo doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He has never known what the fuck he's doing. He needed somebody like Vince McMahon, a smarter Vince, even now, old Vince McMahon that I pick on a lot, that I picked on for Backlash, and I'm going to pick on in the future, is smarter than Vince Russo at his peak, which I'm not really sure he had much of a damn peak, because once he peaked out of the womb, he pretty much was going downhill from there. And I'm actually ashamed that Vince Russo is even still around. Honest to God, this guy should not be getting any coverage. Now here, yes, I am talking about him, but this is what irritates me. As a wrestling fan, as somebody that actually does love wrestling, even at its lowest, I just can't understand why people support him. I just can't. But him saying he could take Rollins in a fight, Rollins wouldn't even have to lift a goddamn finger to whip Vince Russo's ass. Vince Russo ain't worth Seth Rollins' time. And now we're going to go to apparently another piece that Russo said, and I was sent this tweet by somebody, and they said, hey, look what Cody said to it, because Cody Rhodes responded to it, about the All-In event that they're going to do in Chicago, which is great, and I hope tickets actually, I believe, have gone on sale as of the recording of this show. I hope that they do well. Very, very affordable. Ringside seats, I think, are under $200, and that's tremendous. That place will hopefully sell out. I really hope it can. I want, Cody can stick it to Meltzer, and anytime he could stick anything to Meltzer, the idiot that he is. And sorry, Meltzer, for all his facts and for all the stuff that he knows, is a fucking idiot. At least he got rid of the goddamn mullet. Let us never forget that he had a goddamn mullet. But Russo said, he's ready, willing, and able to attend All In, and says others are preventing him from attending. And Cody says, we don't reward bad behavior, stay away from our event. Thank you, Cody. Whether I think that Cody is the greatest wrestler in the world, one, he's the best. He's one of two of the best heels in the business, period. At least on a huge stage. Cody is pouring his heart and soul into this and actually wants this to succeed. What the fuck would Vince Russo ever do? What would he do to that? What would he do to the Chicago market? Nothing. And sorry, he was, like, what were they at? They were at the Chicago market, let's see, for WrestleMania 13. One of the lowest drawing WrestleManias ever. At like 237-something thousand buys. Sure, okay, you had the whole thing with Mike Tyson and stuff like that a year later that drew 3 times that many buys. But that wasn't on Russo. Sorry, I'm not going to give the fucker that much credit. I'm not going to, because the talent actually could succeed. Because Vince McMahon was willing to listen to people. And Russo and Ed Ferrara, the stupid fuck that made fun of JR's Bell's palsy, and yes, he deserves to be openly mocked for that. We can have our opinions on what JR says and how JR views some things. Mocking his health and the fact that he's had the kind of stuff made Ed Ferrara one of the public enemies in my eye. And Jim Cornette spitting in his face was proper. And it's a damn shame that Ed Ferrara is such a coward, because if he tried to swing at Cornette, then maybe Cornette could have returned the favor and hit him. And it might have knocked some sense into Ed Ferrara, though him and Russo seem to have their heads so far up each other's asses, I'm not sure you could ever knock any sense into them. With Cody saying that, we don't reward bad behavior, stay away from our event. Yeah. Russo shouldn't be allowed anywhere near All In. You want to draw tickets, or you want to scare people away? Sorry, Vince Russo being there. You're gonna go to a show that Vince Russo was part of in 2018. People weren't even really going, selling out the WCW shows that he was part of. Once he got on camera, I believe that was April 13, 2000, and yeah, after that, the whole rebranding, New Blood Millionaires Club. Great job there. Yeah, that was real good creative shit. It was bad. It was really bad. And whether it was on him or on a whole bunch of other people, it was really fucking bad. But Cody was right to do that kind of stuff. To say everything there. So I'm going to leave it off at that, and I'm going to go to, so yeah, fuck Vince Russo. Yeah, he's a goddamn coward. He's a goddamn coward. Stevie Ray took him to task on his podcast, Stand Up for Greatness, and I plugged that before. Granted, it was months ago. Stevie Ray, wonderful in my eyes, whether I agree with him or not. He's his own person, but the fact that he stood up to Vince Russo and took him to task, and I'm willing to bet that Vince Russo made up a whole bunch of shit, because that's all Vince Russo does. He tries to pump up himself and make himself better. He's a fucking coward. And I almost wish that Cornette, I don't wish that Cornette would have gone to jail. I just wish Cornette could have gotten within 50 feet of him to yell at him and tell him how he felt. But no, Russo's a coward and would never face anybody that had any issue with him. Because he's just so scary, the buggy whip motherfucker. And no one respects him. Anybody that respects Russo, sorry. I'm not going to say you're on my shit list, but I don't understand how you can. The guy's a stupid motherfucker. Anyway, let's move on to Big Cass, speaking of idiots. And I believe Big Cass has come out saying that he supports Trump. Moron. Sorry if you're watching this and you support Trump. Don't tell me. Just saying. I'm done with it. I'm done with people supporting that idiot. But Big Cass, whatever. This isn't about him supporting Trump. Apparently, that whole segment where they had a midget dressed up like Daniel Bryan and he beat up the midget, he was supposed to hit the big boot and that was supposed to be it. He asked if he'd get more heat by laying in some punches on the midget. And it was worked punches. It wasn't like he was nodding and like actually hard weighing the guy. But Agent shot it down. Cass even went to Vince McMahon and Vince McMahon shot it down. And he still went with it. Now, you can go against the agent and go to Vince, and if Vince okays it, sure, okay. Whatever, there have been guys that have done that kind of stuff, and it would have worked out and everything. I personally didn't find the segment all that... I didn't find it to be like, oh, he's beating up a little person, okay, whatever, he's going to get his comeuppance. It was a stupid segment, but I didn't think much of it. But when he tapped out at Backlash, and yeah, he got his heat back and everything, when he wasn't on SmackDown, and was just in like a little taped interview that they taped for WWE.com and for the YouTube channel, it makes a whole lot of sense that Cass will have a lot of heat over this. Should he be fired for it for going against Vince in this day and age? He probably won't be fired, but if he gets reprimanded horribly and maybe gets de-pushed, maybe put him back in NXT and have him job out there, wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm not saying this is necessarily a fireable offense because to me, I put this on the same thing as somebody tweeting out something stupid. Like Leo Rush tweeting out that whole thing about Emma's release, and I said he shouldn't be fired for that. And that was back in October. Late October, early November. Big Cass should not be fired for this. Unless Vince says so. If Vince says so, I'm not going to say no. Like, honest to God, the guy's vanilla. He really can't do anything in the ring. I remember thinking, okay, maybe he might have a chance to be a single star and whatever, and I would have been willing to give him a chance, but I just don't think it's going to work. Now, he won't be fired, but him going against Vince, bad move. If the boss tells you to do something or not to do something and you do it, you better make sure you're Undertaker or Steve Austin or The Rock or Cena or Reigns. And yeah, I'm throwing out some older guys and some younger guys and some established guys and everything. Because the whole point is you better be right up, you better be way up at the top if you're gonna cross Vince. And not expect to be suspended or even fired. So yeah, dumb move by Cass. And then I'm gonna segue into women's stuff here. JR saying, and this is JR's opinion about the Saudi Arabia show. JR is not saying that it was right for the women to be kept off the show. I want to make that clear. But he says, I don't know why women would be paid for not wrestling in Saudi Arabia. It's not everybody's right to be on the card with some other stuff that he said. And he's right. The women didn't have a choice, though. And if WWE wants to pay them for not being on the show, they should have a right to do that. JR does appear a little tone deaf here. Now, am I saying that he hates the women's roster? Absolutely not. But it's not exactly the smartest thing that he's said. Now, I'm not going to hammer on JR too much. He has lost his wife. He's had health issues and stuff like that. I'm trying to give him some leeway. But this was really, really stupid. This was really, really stupid for him to say. JR should have taken it easy and probably not said this stuff. Now, should people have been mean and tweeted that JR looked drunk at the Saudi Arabia show? No. I tweeted that he looked kind of rough, and I figured that had to do with travel and maybe him being up a while. But I never tweeted that he was drunk. And I don't hate JR. I respect JR. This kind of opinion, though, not exactly the best thing. He pretty much screwed up here. And yeah, I talk with my hands a lot, by the way. So yeah, not saying that JR hates the women. Not saying that at all. Him saying that the women shouldn't have been paid for the show. If WWE wants to pay him for the damn show, and sorry, after saying women's revolution, having the women main event the Royal Rumble, all that kind of stuff and everything, and having two of the best matches at WrestleMania involving women. And yeah, I'm even going to throw Stephanie in on there because Stephanie was involved in the mixed tag. But Charlotte versus Asuka, streak breaking aside, were two of the best matches at Mania, and you're going to suddenly go to Saudi Arabia that has no respect for women. I mean, yeah, I know they're making progress and stuff, and I'm not saying that all the citizens feel that way. Those citizens do feel that way about women, and especially about gay people. Sorry, there's something wrong with you. There is. I'm sorry, if it's religious-based, there's also something wrong with you if you're going to view women or gays as different because a little holy book told you, a holy book that's full of holes. Much like what the priests do to the altar boys and everything. Oh, but you can't talk about that. Yeah, they hate homophobia and stuff like that, yet they'll defend the fact that the priests do that. Bullshit. A little bit of a tangent, but whole point is, women should have been allowed to do that. The women should have been allowed on the show. I get why they weren't. Okay, whatever. At least the women were safe. I will say that much, though, about the women in Saudi Arabia. At least they were safe, because I really would have been worried about their security. Now we're going to move on to something else with the women. Charlotte's injuries. Apparently, she's had a ruptured implant before Mania. Now I joke about stuff and everything, and I joke about various wrestlers, how wrestlers look, this kind of stuff, whatever. That's what I've done for years. This is no joke. I mean, and women, you can leave in the comments or you can get at me in DMs on Twitter about about how severe this is. A ruptured implant is no joke. One, wrestling with implants is pretty damn bad. And I'm not faulting Charlotte for that. There have been women that have wrestled with implants for years, and I'm sure this kind of stuff has happened. But it's so sad that this happens. And it happened before Mania, but because she didn't want to let the fans down because they were building up to Asuka, she either had a treatment or something like that done that wasn't surgical so she could continue wrestling. Now, kudos to her. Now, this does sort of explain why maybe suddenly she broke Asuka's streak and then lost the title to Carmella and then lost a Backlash the way she did. But then she qualifies for the Women's Money in the Bank match, and now all of a sudden this news comes out. So I've heard she's off the European tour. I've heard that, and I believe she had some teeth knocked out by Carmella in a city in Germany. I didn't quite catch what the city was. Not going to say about Carmella being unsafe and this kind of stuff. Accidents happen. They do. But I hope that Charlotte can recover. As of now, and I'm looking at my calendar here, basically a month before Money in the Bank. If she's good to go for the match, great. I hope she can do it, because I want my storyline of Becky Lynch costing Charlotte the briefcase and turning heel to come true. But I don't want that to happen at the expense of Charlotte's health. If Charlotte is unable to perform, and her health is, top priority, of course, then I understand that. As long as she recovers, that's what really matters. And now it's just unfortunate she had to wrestle with a ruptured implant. It happened in first place, but that she had to wrestle with it. That she decided to wrestle with it from, before Mania, into Mania, and then afterwards. It's just terrible. There are people that are saying that because Alexa got injured and this kind of stuff, which the injury may not even be that severe. I mean, sorry, she was cutting a selfie promo on Raw. Granted, she wasn't taking bumps, but if she's fine, she could always end up being the money. She could end up being in the Money in the Bank match. She may not. I mean, it's hard to tell, because it's hard to tell what's kayfabe and what WWE is working us with. If Alexa is out for a while and it's just going to make appearances on TV and not going to be taking any bumps, okay. There are people who are like, Nia's unsafe, this kind of stuff, or whatever. I'm not a big fan of Nia Jax. I'm not a big fan of her. I don't think she's that good in the ring. I don't think she's bad, but unless she's booked like a monster, even if it's babyface, like a monster babyface, it's not gonna work. Because she isn't very good at selling. She can't really work long matches. I think that has to do partly with the ring gear. Partly could have to do with her physique, even though I don't think her cardio is necessarily a question. And then as I say that, I know she's gasping for air really, really bad. But again, that could be the ring gear. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV or play with one on TV, thankfully, because that would be bad. But there are those that are saying Nia's unsafe. Nia's unsafe. Nia's unsafe. Nia's unsafe. Because Alexa got injured. Accidents happen. Accidents fucking happen. That's it. Tamina's gotten injured plenty of times. I'm sure Tamina's injured people, but yet Tamina's still there. Oh, that's right, because her dad, who didn't murder anybody at all, because they wouldn't have put a collection of somebody's matches on their WWE network if he had murdered somebody. Oh wait, he did, and that's not Tamina's fault. Okay, it's not Tamina's fault. But she's there because of her name. But Nia, could it be because of her association with The Rock that she's getting this push? Yeah. But there were so many times where she was eating losses. Look, accidents happen in the ring, though, is the point of this discussion. Is where I'm going to finish up. Accidents happen. I don't believe Alexa blames Nia. Nia probably is upset herself because maybe she blames herself, even if it wasn't her fault. But let's stop blaming the wrestlers because of that. Seriously. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. Stop blaming the wrestlers. Oh, if it's an accident. Now, if it's blatant, if it's something that's like blatant, yes, okay. If you can find something in their Backlash match, and I would not recommend you go back and watch that, but if somebody can find something, you want to tweet me the clip, you want to YouTube me the clip in the comments, I will look at it and I will say, oh, okay, maybe Nia did intentionally do it. But until I see evidence otherwise, I'm not going to believe that. Nia isn't the best worker, really, at all. She's not that good in the ring. She's not really that good on the mic. She tries, but she's not unsafe. That's my opinion. If other people can tell me otherwise or show me otherwise, I will be willing to listen and willing to discuss. But anyway, that's what I gotta say. Agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Twitter link in the description. Spend real honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.